Well, it's noontime. Welcome to November of Lunch and Learn 2025. Yes, sir. Our goal is to provide code and industry updates here on Lunch and Learn. Today, we are looking at using foam for your ductwork. Many of you have already started using foam, but even more kind of sitting on the sidelines trying to make up your mind. And that's a smart thing to do. It's a big step, and for many, it's been a big step in the right direction. Cam Campbell of Pepco introduced us to Don Reed, the regional sales manager, and Tim Zobrist, the U.S. foam market manager, big titles, big important people, of Soudal. Soudal has an impressive line of products, but the thing I like the most about them is that they have a strong commitment to training, and that fits very well with the HVACR Association. Tim will take us into the world of Soudal's foam on ductwork. But before we do that, let's say hello to Don. Don, hello. How are you doing this fine day?
I'm doing well today.
Tell me about your relationship with Soudal.
Well, I'm relatively new to Soudal. I've been with the company going on 6 months now, but my background is I spent 34 years in roofing distribution. I'm very familiar with construction and all the avenues and directional construction information. So
We we have a bit of a funny here. We have two Tim Zobrists on the screen right now, but one of them is really Cam. So right now we're going to go to the real Tim Zobrist, who is going to take us into the world of ductwork insulation with foam at Soudal. Hey, Tim,
Hey
thank you
there.
for joining us.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Uh, one of the things that I need to do is have you tell us a little bit about Soudal. That's the company name, the product name? What is that?
That the corporate name, Soudal, out of
Mhm.
Belgium,
Okay.
65-year-old company, largest foam producer in the world, single component foam and two component foam. Founded by Vic Swartz. I think Vic was selling silicone in the mid 60s, and he's still with the company, still shows up for work every day. But we are been in the United States now under the Soudal brand for 10 years. And prior to that, the company name was Acumetric out of Elizabethtown, Kentucky. The Boss logo you see there is because in the HVAC world and most of the construction or building materials world for residential construction, our brand is Boss Pro on that side of the world. That's why
Yeah.
there's two different logos there.
Yeah, it's my understanding that you're fairly new to Arkansas. Is that correct?
Yeah, and we fairly new in as a presence goes with Don and Cam. Cam's been operating, I think, in that market for quite a few years,
Hmm.
but having a reliable footprint on the ground in that market has been now just about the last year or so that Don has been with us.
Well, one of the things that we want to tell people right up front as we get into this, there are a couple of places that you can go find the Boss Pro, and that would be at R&E Supply and Ed Supply. And I'm sure Cam will be having several other distributors set up in the future. But just to let you know up front, it will be Ed Supply and R&E Supply. What are we going to be talking about, Tim?
Well, the idea, the concept here is that two component foams can be an efficient and fast operating way for these folks to insulate ductwork and move a little bit quicker than the traditional wraps and other methods of installing duct. The
Hmm.
the premise that we're following with the foam is weatherization in general. So energy is leaking out of houses at a startling rate. Most of the energy consumption in the United States is energy bleeding out of houses. So everything that we do in residential single family home construction is oriented toward air sealing. So air sealing around the rim joists and the knee walls in the attics, anywhere, any air movement that you can detect with a blower door test. We've got products that that supplement the ability to contain movement, air movement. Two component foam is a one of the tools in the toolkit, and one of them that can be be very beneficial for speed and efficiency to an HVAC installer. HVAC by nature, you are improving weatherization in a home or in a structure, and two-component foam is one of those tools.
I was reading a report from the government the other day, and it was talking about the duct loss, even just in the heating cycle. We think so much about it in the air conditioning cycle, but it had like 15% duct leakage even in the heating cycle. So yeah, even, and I only mention that because we're moving into the winter heating season, and people need to be aware. It's not just about air conditioning; it's also about heating.
Yeah, exactly. And we know that our we've got a very large footprint in the insulation market. The guys that are doing professional insulation, and
Hmm.
they tell us that weatherization is a submarket of that, meaning that they'll use multiple products to do multiple applications, like again the attic, the crawl spaces, rim joists, windows, especially. That's another area. But HVAC installation is, of course, a big component. But they tell us that there's about 10 years worth of inventory in the U.S. market of houses that need to be weatherized or reset, we'll call it, right? You've got a house like mine that's was built in the late 50s, single component wood frame windows, cellulose insulation in the attic. All of that needs to be cleared out at some point and needs to be reset with reliable insulating tools. And the work that HVAC folks do is it's the same. We're all in the same boat trying to improve weatherization of residential structures.
Well, let's go to this third item on this slide here where it talks about reducing system leakage and air infiltration.
The idea of that is that the leak prevention is done with wraps traditionally. This way, it's if you're using these low pressure expanding foams, you can move into your installed system very quickly. Seal those seams with something that's reliable and permanent. The foam itself, depending on where you read what you read on the interwebs, the foam remains intact for 60 to 80 years. So the foam prevents water egress, will not mold, will not will not rot. Nothing. It's a permanent seal once you put it in place. It's cuttable. You can cut it away if you need to, but it's much more reliable. And the pressure behind the gun will force the foam into the seams and give you a more reliable seal.
Well, I noticed in the code the other day when I was reading up, getting ready for this, that it talked about that if you used foam, you didn't have to use any other air sealing on your ductwork. Is that
Correct.
correct? Did I read that
That
right?
that is correct.
So you can eliminate the need to have mastic tape on your ductwork if you use foam. Is that correct?
That is the primary replacement application, right? Is replacing that mastic. The
Okay.
time consumption and the labor of wrapping all that ductwork, I don't know the statistics off the top of my head, but it's a very time consuming effort.
This gives us a good thing about what we're talking about here. 25 to 40% of conditioned air is lost through the duct leakage. So you're going to
Yeah.
stop that, huh?
Yeah, that's the idea. And you button the house up. Um, your climate in Arkansas isn't that different than mine in Cleveland. The temperature swings and the climate swings are pretty dramatic. I think your climate's a little more like our home base in Kentucky, right, where it can be 40 degrees one minute and 80 the next. So it's very important that you button these things up, and but as a contractor, you need to be able to do it quickly and efficiently. It's about time and speed and managing your costs, and it's just a much more efficient the end result product is what you're ending up with, but the speed
Hmm.
and efficiency in which you can deliver it is the key.
And so this is closed cell,
Yes, sir.
fire
Yes, sir.
rated, expands 2 to 4 times to fill the gaps. Talk about that.
Well, the foam itself, it's got you spray part A and part B together, and when you spray them down, you put a layer of roughly an inch of foam of liquid down onto substrate, and it'll expand to twice that size. So for something that we're trying to do, you take one pass around the joint, and the foam will swell up to about twice its size. and that swelling and that ability to expand gives you that reliable seal.
Okay, where the boot connects to the sheetrock, that's
Right.
always a headache to try to get insulated. Is this a
Correct.
good application for foam?
Uh, Perfect. As an example, the pressure that comes from the gun, you have two nozzle tips in the gun package. The pressure that the gun is delivering will press that foam or push that foam into that seam and give you a reliable seal. Or if you're at a distance, and for instance, you've got a gap of 6 or 12 inches and you can't get to what you're trying to seal, you
Mhm.
can spray this foam with the proper nozzle, and the pressure behind the gun will push the foam into the seam and give you a good seal.
That will fill a 6 inch gap then?
Uh, no, I'm talking about being 6 inches away, meaning you can't get to your component by hand.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
not
okay. I
easy to
understand.
reach. The pressure behind the gun will spray the foam into the opening
I
and give
understand.
you the ability to put some pressure behind it to fill a gap. In other words, if you were using a caulk or a caulking gun, it would
Hmm.
only be as good as your ability to make sure that seam is sealed, typically with your finger. With foams like this, you can spray it into place and it's going to force itself into the seam and give you a reliable seal.
Here's some other places to use it.
Yep. Same story. Tighter seams, fewer leaks, and overall improved comfort. The focus here is to use the material in the correct place, use it as a working tool, use it where it's needed, and then be able to shut it down, put it away, and use it again over and over again until the system is gone.
So one
Okay.
of the big questions about foam is whether or not it's flammable. How does your product stand up to that test?
It passes those flammability that flame and smoke rating. We've got a independent lab called ICC that does the testing for us and gives us that E84 rating.
Hmm.
And those test documents are very, very clear and very precise. The test that you have to follow and what you have to pass in order to get that E84. That's what covers flame. And then under the C411, that's an Arkansas-based test that Arkansas-based meaning that the Arkansas fire inspector insisted that we pass that hot surface performance test. And we have that in order for him to qualify these things in the state of Arkansas. We have that documentation, and we have also that on our technical data sheet that we pass the hot surface performance test.
So is that exclusive to Arkansas, or do you also have to do it in other states?
That's the only state that's asked us to do it, but of course, it's very handy for the rest of the states in the country.
Hmm.
Right? But Arkansas was very clear, and we were fortunate enough to get to the chief fire inspector. Cam actually helped us coordinate that discussion to get to the chief fire inspector, make sure we understood his parameters for performance, and that was the last leg was to make sure that we had that hot surface performance. Now,
Mhm.
we don't know if other states are going to bring it up, but we've got it covered now, and fortunately, Arkansas drove it, and to have that imprimatur from the chief fire inspector is something, right?
That's great.
That's
Congratulations,
great.
sir.
Yeah,
It's a little faster than it would
yeah,
be
yeah.
wrapping it, huh?
So there's a reference to the wrap and the glassing, and then consistent metered ratio ensures quality. The system itself is two parts. So any two-part system, it comes down to the quality of the gun and the static mixer in order to create a reliable spray and a reliable rise in foam and the highest performance. The kits are portable. You see two there. There's a 200 board foot kit, which is on the left. That entire kit weighs about 40 pounds. The larger kit, which is the most economical, of course, is a 600 board foot kit. Those canisters weigh about 40 pounds apiece. So it is, but these systems also come with various hose sizes. So if you're in the middle of a job site, you could park that most economical version in the middle of the room and have a 30-foot hose that moves around the room and gives you the ability to do the spraying that you need to get done. The comment about ad revenue, that means that anybody that's going into these structures that's going to air seal it has got to be got to be involved at some point. So a couple of instances, contractors have been held up by the fact that the air sealing service or the insulator hasn't been there yet in order to seal up the crawl spaces or rim joists or whatever the case may be. This gives you guys the ability to step into some other realms of application or service that you can provide to your GC and add a little bit of an additional service to your contract.
I was going to say, for somebody that wants to start doing this, do you have tips that you could give them to help them get started on that first job?
We do. I'm very proud of our work instructions and training and application training. Our training isn't done based on the chemistry or a specific product. It's based on applications and application recommendations, and then behind it are the best practices for use of the kit to be sure that you get all of the yield out of the canisters. And when the system is done, it's thrown away. The idea being you buy one kit, one gun hose assembly, and one gun. Now you're going to go through some spray tips, of course, because every time you stop spraying, the kit will cure, the tip will cure, and you'll have to change it out. But the idea being you start with one kit. When you're done, it's empty. The kit, the hose, and the gun all get thrown in the landfill. But you're not using multiple hoses, multiple guns. It's very cost effective if used correctly. And we put all of our effort into training you how to do that. And that
So
is what you see here.
we'll talk about that training. How do you actually get training into their hands?
Well, we've got a couple of methods. So what we've done most successfully with some of our market partners is we'll do a Teams call where we'll do I don't know, 15 slide PowerPoint where we go through the applications, the areas of use and the best practice. And then at the end of that training, we use a system called FlowSparks, which is a training platform that well, let me back up. The final part of that PowerPoint training is a 4-minute training video. Then I'll walk through the video and I stop and start repeatedly until the areas that are most important are covered. Then finally, you'll go on to FlowSparks and you'll take a test that's based on that same training video, broken up into modules, multiple choice questions, and then when you're done, you're certified as a user. So as a great example, a customer of ours in the insulation business, they're in retrofitting low income housing, and all they do is use kits. And when we started with them, they had 11 kits of various configuration and various suppliers all lined up that they thought were defective. We trained all of the guys, 19 of them. We certified them and trained them, and now it's been 17 months, and we have not had any issues or any problems with them. And as a matter of fact, all the kits they had lined up, we were able to recover all of them. So with the exception of adding some new hoses, they were able to recover every bit of the fluid in those canisters, which is the key. These things they're not inexpensive, but if you use them the right way, they're cost efficient, if that makes sense. But the certification program, we give you a certificate, you've passed the testing, and you're certified to use the system, and therefore the job site should go very well. The last step is we offer them the ability, if they have a problem or a perceived problem on a job site, they call my cell phone directly. They show me some photographs or some video, and I'll help them try to fix that kit or whatever may have gone wrong with it. We'll fix it on the job site so it stays there. So that's the level of service that we're trying to provide. It's all oriented toward keeping folks happy and making this as convenient as possible.
You know, earlier you were telling me you had that 4-minute video and you could offer to let us watch it. Now, I wish I had said that was okay because we're wrapping this up a little faster than I thought. Maybe we can make it available another time.
We can, and I'll send over all the documentation that we talked about. So the technical data sheets in English and Spanish, the actual test reports, the ESR report and the 411 report, and then links to the two videos. There's two. There's one that is
Okay.
a promotional, type marketing version, and then there's the best practices video, which we use over and over and over again. It's very handy, can be downloaded. It's on YouTube, so anybody can look it up at any given time.
I notice here it says that they should register for a Soudal installer certification. How do they go about doing that?
That's what I was just talking about the
Okay.
training. You reach out to me, we'll do the
Okay.
training, and then we'll get you set up. The FlowSpark system, you go into the system, you put your email into it, and you sign yourself up, and that's what registering means, but I can walk everybody through how to do that.
Okay.
The ideal
If
being for a contractor, if you got 5 or 6 guys, let me certify them all to be sure that they're comfortable handling kits, and then they'll have a they'll it just makes everything be a little more reliable and functional, and their problem solving skills get a little higher, so they can fix things quicker.
I guess this is pretty much a summary of what we've been talking about today, isn't it?
That's right. And that link at the bottom there, below the product package, that
Uh-huh.
link is the YouTube video to the video. But
Okay.
if you want to go take a quick look, it's Boss two-part how to use, and it'll pop right up.
Boss two-part how to use.
Yep, it'll pop
Is that
right
right?
up on YouTube. You can look at it
Okay.
anytime.
Okay. Super.
All righty?
Uh, if you want to know more, those of you that are listening in and those of you that will be watching this on YouTube, you can always contact Camp Campbell with Pepco, and that is his email address and his phone number. Also, for those of you that are watching, you know that every week we take an opportunity to tell you how you can get questions answered if you're having some concerns about how to renew your license or you got code questions. They're always open and extremely helpful. We've just conducted 8 rounds of training for code. And on every one of those, we asked people how things were going. And even those that said that it had some problems getting started said that they were never treated better in the whole world. Because once you get to talk to the staff there at the Arkansas Department of Labor and Licensing, everything smooths out and the results are always pleasant. Anyway, you can contact them at 501 682 9201. That's 501 682 9201. Or the best way is to use this email address, adll.hvac@arkansas.gov. Again, adll.hvac@arkansas.gov. And that will help you take care of any questions you've got that the Department of Labor and License can help you with. I want to thank every one of you for listening in and for joining via YouTube when you do that. Several companies and schools have made these part of their in-house training, and we welcome everybody to do that. Our goal is to provide educational opportunities to the industry, and we welcome you to consider a membership in the association. We have chapter meetings every October and February, and you can get 2 hours of continuing education. Come to those meetings, have a good meal, get 2 hours of continuing education toward renewing your license. You can't beat that. Until no December the 8th, I guess it is, that we have another meeting. We look forward to seeing you then and have a great time over the holiday. Bye
Tom,
now.
there's a couple of questions. One question, can this be installed at any temperature or does it have stipulations? Tim?
Strong stipulations above 50 degrees and no hotter than, oh, I'd say about 85. But you just got to control the environment you're in. You don't have to, you just make sure you're not applying any of these foam products, any manufacturers. If you apply it to a cold surface, the foam will fall off the surface, obviously. So you need to have your substrates above 40. And ideally, you want to be operating around 50 degrees at the coldest, about 85 at the hottest. But the containers themselves have to be, and the fluid has to be at 65 degrees. There's a temperature strip on the side of the canister. You've got to maintain the temperature of that material as well in order to get a good spray. Those details are in that video and in the best practices handling information or documents that we'll supply to Tom.
The
Okay,
other
well,
question is what's the difference between this and the DAP system?
They're very similar. The two component systems are very easy to they're very easy to manage and handle. The DAP system is probably one of our better competitors. The gun is very good. The nozzle tips are very good. and I would say that the quality of the foams are equal.
Another one just came in. What's the, assuming it's closed cell, which it is, but what's the R value per inch?
6.2.
All right.
Is that all of them done?
No, there's another one. Does this come in 55-gallon drums? If not, when will we see that?
You will not see that. That's not in our manufacturing capability in the U.S. The packaging will remain in 200 and 600 board foot kit configurations.
That's all that's there right now.
Don, thank you for noticing those. We appreciate the opportunity to take those very much. Tim, thank you so much.
You bet.
Don, and the second Tim, sometimes known as Cam Campbell.
Cam.
Thank y'all. Have
Thank
a
you
great
all.
Thank you,
day.
Tom.
Bye now.